A game changer for us was the World Economic Forum. And it's a moment I will never forget. I get a phone call from the World Economic Forum. We want you to bring your lounge to Davos, but you might not feel welcome.
Hey everybody, welcome to The Real Shift Show. We are your co-host. I'm Katie Temple.
I'm Anna Crow, and we're excited to have you here today. And even more so, we are excited to welcome our next guest. She went from being one of the only women in the room to building a global movement that's supporting women and those who support them as well, of course. Her name is Shelley Zalis. And Shelley, we are just so excited. You are the founder of the Female Quotient. For those few millions that don't know about the Female Quotient, what is it?
Wow, the Female Quotient really started by accident and turned into, was a moment that turned into a movement and really is now creating this whoosh factor momentum, really where change can happen, but not by one person alone, but by the power of the collective. That's how change truly happens. And when you do things that's never been done before, a lot of people will say, what is that? An organization that is encouraging women to support women and then bring conscious leaders in to rewrite the rules of the workplace. It was really created based on my lived experience, being a lonely and only in the workplace, the only Fortune 500 CEO, top 25 in my career in market research. And it didn't hold me back in business at all, but I knew I thought differently. I acted differently. I wasn't afraid to break the rules that made no sense and create new ones because I wanted to write rules that would work for me, the lowest common denominator, because if it worked for me, it would work for everyone. And that's really what fueled the Female Quotient being born. I had sold my company, my research company, to a giant company. I had 250 employees doing $60 million in revenue, operating in 6 cities. I sold to a company with 16,000 employees doing $2.6 billion in revenue, operating in 83 countries. And I had so many heartbeat moments along the way, but it was the final straw where now I'm one of 2 women on a board of a publicly traded board of 26. And we're sitting in the first board meeting and they're moving my employees around like chess pieces. And tears came down my eyes. And they said, what's wrong? And I said, well, Paula doesn't belong there, and Paul doesn't belong there, and Harry doesn't belong there, and Kathy doesn't belong there. This is where they belong. And I was pulled aside after the meeting by the HR person, and they said, Shelley, there's no room for emotion in the boardroom. Stop being so emotional about this. It's just business. And I had a choice. Agree. Just sold my company for a shitload of money. Just agree and move on. It's my first day in this new company. Or do what I did, which was follow my heart. Ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. And I gave a speech to thousands the next week. And it was called Bring Emotion to the Boardroom. Exclamation point, heart, 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 pink heart, pink heart, pink heart. And that's when I knew that I had to use my power to create the changes that I wish I had my entire career, which was make it a place that we all felt comfortable, we all could belong. And I was chief troublemaker.
CTO.
And so I, with intentionality, created this place called the Girls Lounge to take on the boys club. And everyone was looking at me like, what the fuck? What is this? I said, I don't know. I just don't want to go to another tech conference by myself where there's long lines in the men's room, no lines in the women's room. And so I invited 50 women to walk the floor with me. It was a remarkable moment because 2 things happened. One, every guy's head turned, like, where the heck did you all come from? It's when I coined the phrase power of the pack. A woman alone is power, collectively we have impact. And the second was I was surrounded by people just like me. Work-life balance issues, imposter syndrome. And by day 2, 100 women. By day 3, 350. We went from my king-size bedroom at the Four Seasons to the penthouse. And so the Girls Lounge was born, and it started gaining a lot of traction, not from senior women, because they still want to go where the power was, which was the boys club, but from mid-level women that really needed it, and making the invisible visible. The female quotient really is all about rewriting the rules in the workplace so that we can all thrive. And we do that through experiences, in real life experiences at big industry conferences. We do it through, now we're a big media brand. We have over 7.5 million power women in our community across 30 industries, 100 countries. And we do it through bringing conscious leaders, men and women, of Fortune 500 companies to the table, where the collective action creates the changes we all want to see.
Congratulations on the sale. I mean, we could have a show alone just on the acquisition. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And today, like you said, you've grown to beyond your wildest vision for this. You're at different conferences, CES, Cannes Lions, Possible, the Masters even. What does that feel like? And what are you seeing and hearing at these events?
We are doing probably upwards of 80 in real life events a year now. We do 3 types of in real life events. We do lounges, which is at big industry conferences. We are always an official partner of everywhere we go, with the insistence that if they want us, we are unbadged to democratize the system. A game changer for us was the World Economic Forum. And it's a moment I will never forget. I get a phone call from the World Economic Forum. We want you to bring your lounge to Davos, but you might not feel welcome. It's a boys club. And I'm like, wow, that's an interesting invitation. My head said, don't go. My heart, ba-boom, ba-boom, said I must. And I remember going to, this is 11 years ago, I remember going to a big financial institution, and it was the women's arm of the financial institution, saying I was invited to the World Economic Forum to have a space. I'd like to go. Will you be my sponsor? I needed $250,000. It was a hole in the wall, last space available. And they said, yes, we will, but you have to change the name. The Girls Lounge at Davos will not work. And I said, I'm not changing the name. It's called the Girls Lounge, intentionally. And I said, I'm going to call it the Girls Lounge, the place for the 17%, because less than 17% of white badges, which is the official badge at Congress in Davos, are women. And I decided to fund it myself. A no for me, I didn't want to go around getting no's. And so
Who does?
Who does?
Fair.
And so I decided the only way I'm going to get a yes now is giving a yes to myself. And I called my girlfriend, who was the chief operating officer of Bloomberg, Jackie Kelly. I said, Jackie, I got this invitation to go to the World Economic Forum. I'm going, but I don't want to go by myself. It's scary. I might not feel welcome. Will you go with me? She goes, of course I will. I said, let's have a slumber party. And so we invited 50 women to have a slumber party at Davos. Like, unheard of. Lo and behold, 50 women going to Davos.
From all over the world.
Unbatched. Food, alcohol, warm, cozy, and the best rockin', smoking hot content. And everybody would come by and look in like, what the heck is this? The Girls Lounge, the place for the 17%. And on my windows, I had bold messaging. The place to be, the girls are all here, or why wait 132 years to close the gender gap? We can do it now. I did foot massages in the window just to say, and Moira Forbes comes, and Moira had the hottest party at the World Economic Forum. And she says to me, I love what you're doing. Here's 50 invitations for all of you.
Was that a heartbeat, in your words, a heartbeat moment for you?
I did not know what it was, but I knew my answer was, we'll be there. Girls, get dressed. We're going to the Forbes party. We show up at this party, and literally the pink carpet was rolled out for us. It probably was a red carpet, but I only see pink. And Moira standing at the door, because this was the boys club party. This was the party everybody wanted to go to. Same as what happened at CES, Power of the Pack. 50 of us walking in, great music, no one dancing, boring party, like boring.
happens.
We just all stood in a circle, dropped our bags and our coats in the middle, and started dancing. We're having the best time. And everyone's like, who are they?
Yeah.
Where the heck did they come from? Like, they're the Girls Lounge. Year 2, Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan, hears about us, and his team calls us after and says, he is blown away. He says, you have balls.
Ovaries.
We need this more than anything here. And from this day on, if you want me, I will be your keynote speaker and I will be your sponsor.
Wow.
Jamie comes every year, rain or shine, protest, no protest. We feed his bodyguard for 4 days, his bodyguards. I attribute so much of our credibility from the moment he said, I'm in.
Wow.
It was something. And it wasn't a woman. It was a conscious leader. We're all in this together. 10 years later, we are the destination, standing room only. We're flooded. I really do give him so much credit.
And you know what I love is that, this whole thing about feminism, and then it feels like, people look at us as male haters, et cetera, which is not the case. It's about equality. And you just said it perfectly, conscious leadership.
Yeah, it's not even about feminism because unfortunately feminism still has the negative,
Right.
you're bad, you're good, versus, I respelled feminism and I put the word men in feminism. Modern feminism must include all of us. And it's not about male, it's not about female, it's about masculine, feminine. The masculine, decisive, aggressive, linear, assertive. We need those qualities in leadership. The feminine, collaborative, compassionate, and plenty of men have the feminine, plenty of women have the masculine. So it's not a gender thing. We used to call the feminine the soft skills. They are not soft skills. They're essential skills.
Well, and you talk about the heart and the emotion and all of that, right? It's not men or women, like you said.
So what does the Female Quotient do? We hear that you say that they're at events. What other opportunities are you bringing to the table? And what does that look like?
I just read a report that really disturbed me, and it was called The Ambition Gap. We have glass ceiling, broken rung, imposter syndrome, menopause, and now we have ambition gap. So we're putting another gap on ourselves that we should be thinking we have or we're supposed to have. But do we really? I don't think it's an ambition gap. And so I wrote an article where I said, first of all, ambition is how you define it. If you ask people, what does ambition do? You get a million different definitions. So how do you put something into an ambition gap, right? I said, that's a problem. I said, but it's not an ambition gap. Women are ambitious. It's an access gap. It's an opportunity gap. If we keep holding women back from rising the ranks, then there's going to always be this experience capital gap.
Because they can't get the experience.
Right. So you can't get the job if you don't have the experience. You need the experience to get the job. It's a chicken or egg. So we have to in vitro the models.
In vitro the model, using that.
Yeah, but it's true. Like if you live and breathe this and you see it, and we keep talking about sponsorship and mentorship, and that's how we're going to give people the opportunities. But then there's the bias in that, and you pick people who look like you, who sound like you, who act like you. It needs to be completely turned on its head upside down. Or you're going to end up with that one woman in that role. But what about the up and coming ones? You got to bring everyone up with you so that they can have the experience. It needs to be intentionality, intentional design, so that we ensure that we have representation at every level to reflect the society that we serve.
So the Female Quotient is not only creating opportunities, but is it educating and training women that are at your events?
It's educating and having conversations in an open way with leaders.
Some women, especially younger women, believe that they have to earn their place in a company versus I have this potential, so I should automatically go in. What is that? Is that related to our own inability to see it, or women still having this belief that I have to earn? Like, how does that all play in together?
It's back to the experience. Women in general are evaluated on performance and men on potential. But why are we even saying that? It's the same thing with imposter syndrome. As soon as we know that there's this thing called
We have a
imposter syndrome, then
clinical.
we have it.
Yeah.
And men and women in general have imposter syndrome. It's called doubt. Men just in general tend to ignore it, and women let that voice get louder. So you just got to shut that bitch up in your head. Period. Exclamation point. You're ambitious. You are capable. You have power. You have potential. Like if you actually believe this about yourself, you're going to wipe out all the negative voices that are in your head telling you that, oh, no, you don't. So if you actually replace the word performance with possibility, anything is possible if you want it. But you got to put yourself out there and not wait and watch. I'm not going to wait and watch to be chosen. I'm going to make myself visible. I'm going to have initiative. I am going to go beyond expectation for myself even, and make sure others see it and recognize it so that they will bring me up. And I'm going to choose the people I want to see me, because if I have to wait for someone to see me, they might not be the right one.
Of all the women that you spend time with, I mean, you're global, so you're in touch with a lot of different women. What challenges are you seeing in generations? In other words, so Gen X, and then you've got the millennials and the Gen Z in the business world. I would hope that things had gotten better for the younger generations when it came to the way that women were represented and treated in the workforce.
It's a multi-dimensional question, because I think today's generation is sharing the parental load. I'm 64, so my generation, the primary caregiver was still predominantly the woman. So I think the younger generations, they want dual income. If they're co-parents, they want to be dual income families. So they share the responsibility, which goes a long way to shared responsibility at home means equal opportunity in the workplace for both of them. In the US, caregiving policies are not what they need to be. You know, when a woman is having the child, tends to take maternity leave. Paternity leave is elective. And so men in general don't take it.
Oh.
Now, we know the gaps kick in two significant places. One is maternity leave. So the longer they're out of the workplace, even though companies say we're holding your job, the more they're going to fall behind. And it's hard to just come right back in. The second place the gap kicks in is at the first promotion. And men in general will ask for the promotion, they'll ask for the raise, and they will negotiate until they get what they want. We know that women in general won't. And so that is where the disparity kicks in. And once there's a gap, it just keeps growing, and no one just cuts the cord. There are solutions. I think it's so kind of obvious, and it's not complicated. The senior level people aren't Gen Z. If you don't have lived experience of being a primary caregiver, you don't really understand the hardships that it creates. I'm working on something right now called the Rose Gold Rule. So when you think about the golden rule, do unto others as you'd want done to yourself. But what I might want for me might not be good for you. So then came the platinum rule. Do unto others as they would want. But what might be good for you might not be good for everyone. The rose gold rule, do unto the workplace what the collective we requires. You need the collective we. You have to listen to what your workforce requires. That is how you create a culture of inclusivity. If we all thought about it that way, we would rewrite the rules of the workplace so that it would work for the lowest common denominator. Because if it works for the collective minority, it will definitely work for the current majority. It only makes their life much easier.
Such a great reframe.
We need to reframe.
Yeah.
Or think about the narrative that just fucking sucks, which is, oh, we need male allies. What does that say?
Yeah.
It says, we are down here. Oh,
Yeah.
Prince Charming, come kiss me
Yeah.
on my cheek and wake me up. I need you for that.
Yeah.
Because I am not as qualified as you, and I'm not in a position of power like you are. I need a male ally. No, you need a leadership ally.
Yeah.
You need a leader ally.
Gosh, reminds me of that old Secret commercial, strong enough for a man,
but made
for a
We're
woman.
made for a woman.
Yeah, 15 years
Exactly.
ago.
You know, I started as the Girls Lunch just to say, can we all like support one another? Can we all have beautiful waves in our hair and wear makeup and wear beautiful clothes? It's okay. Stop hiding who you are. We need you to come out.
Yeah.
This space was designed by women for everyone. Men love coming to our space. We have the best content, we have the best food, we have the best
Nice
look, we have the best.
cocktails.
And women bring their meetings to the. I keep making bigger and bigger spaces so everyone can bring their meetings. Guess who their meetings are? Men.
Well, it's so inclusive for everybody. It's so beautiful. I mean, it's so intentional. You curate and you have such great brands participating. And you do this 80 times plus a year, which is even more remarkable. All right, we have one final question and then a quick lightning round.
Okay.
One thing you mentioned is believe in yourself, believe in the thing. What are some of the other tools in your toolbox and that you hear about or you recommend to especially younger women as they're going up the corporate ladder or they're on an entrepreneurial journey or whatever it is, self-discovery, that help shut down that narrative?
You know, Oscar Wilde says, be yourself because everyone else is taken. And I think that if you really understand the meaning of that, it is so true, you know, and that is the power of the collective. None of us have all the answers. We each bring a value to the table. And every one of those values leads up to the power of team and why we are all necessary. But always remember that authenticity, being real, you can fake it once. You can try to mimic someone, but you can't fake it consistently. You can't be someone else all the time. So be yourself, and that is where your truth will come from. The other one that, you know, Sarah Jessica Parker says, but she says I can't quote her because her writer wrote this for her in one of her movies, but trying to be a man is a waste of a woman.
Just felt that one.
We need those, what previously has been called soft skills that I've renamed to essential skills, are what we're talking about even with AI all the time. Bring your human to work. Bring your empathy to work. We need compassion. Why? AI doesn't have a heartbeat. All the things that we keep talking about are all the things that are what makes us so uniquely fabulous.
Okay, you want to? Should we
Quick
go
line-
for it?
yeah,
Okay,
quick
so
line to
Shelley,
mind.
first thing that comes to mind after you take that delicious coffee that I wish I had right now, the advice you'd give to your younger self.
Turn no's into yeses.
One do and one don't in a salary negotiation.
Well, I'll say what I did. When I was, when I sold my company and they asked me how much money I want to make, I said, I don't want to make more or less than anyone else at my level. So you fix it. And I said to them, you have three choices. One, I can go outside to my peer group and find out how much they're making. I don't think you want me to do that. I can go inside to my other board members and find out what they're making. I don't think you want me to do that. I said, I just want the same thing. So my lawyer came back to me and she said, the lawyer of the company, she says, well, you now have the best package of anyone in the company. And I said, why? She said, because I looked at everyone's salaries. They were all over the place. So I gave you the highest one. I matched the highest one. I looked at the bonuses all over the place. So I gave you the best package. And I looked at the equity packages and they were all over the place. So I gave you the best one. I said, great. If someone gets a raise, can you let me know?
Awesome.
I love it.
Game changer.
Yeah.
Game changer for
I
sure.
love it.
You talk about self-doubt, and when you or we collectively, our audience, us, start to feel self-doubt, how do we turn it around?
You know, my mother just always instilled in me confidence is beautiful. There are people that see what they see, status quo, stuff in a textbook, and those that see what's possible. Anything is possible if you want it, but it starts with believing in yourself first. And share your toys in the playground.
Katie knows I cry over everything. That just got me, that last one.
Share your toys.
Okay, the last one I have is, can you give us an example of a shift that you've intentionally made in your life, whether it was a physical one, like relocation, or more of a mindset shift?
One is I am intentional about leaving a legacy in the lifetime of my leadership. So I will activate collectively the changes that we need to see in the workplace. The second, personally, I have a no regret policy. I never want to look back and say shoulda, woulda, coulda. And so if I think forward and there's this opportunity, I don't care how good it is, and I say, oh, I'm going to miss something important in my kid's life or whatever, I will say no. And I have maintained that no regret policy my whole career, even when I did not have the power to say no. And I can guarantee anyone that is hearing this, no one will ever remember the meeting you missed or the business trip you didn't take. But the people important in your life will always know you were there at the moments that mattered.
Wow. Shelley, we could be here all day.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you so much. What a beautiful gift you've given us and our viewers. Thank you. We have so many takeaways, which I'm sure we'll talk about later.
Yes, yes,
But
yes.
until then, until we see you all again, what do we want to say?
I would like to, I want to hear what you thought of Shelley, because I have so many wonderful takeaways from her. What made you shift? What moved you? What did she say? What thoughts provoked something in you? We'd love for you to add them in the comments.
Yes, and until we see you again, keep making real shift happen.